My name is Edgar Edmund. I'm from Tanzania. I'm a student at the African Leadership Academy and also the founder of Green Venture Recycles. So basically, Green Venture works in recycling of plastic waste into building materials. And I started this when I was 15. And next slide, please. Yeah, so in 2015, we had floods in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And these floods destroyed mud houses. So as I was seeing the floods carrying lots of plastic waste with them and how the mud houses were dissolving in the plastics, this actually really devastated me. And I thought there would be a dual solution for the two problems. One of them being the plastic waste, and the other one being sustainable construction. So from there, I started working on different experiments, seeing how I can convert plastic waste into building materials. Next slide, please. So Tanzania alone produces more than 8 billion plastic bags every year. And this is a big problem because these plastics end up in landfills, and also when they're burnt, they cause air pollution. And by 2050, we expected that we'll be having more plastics than fish in the ocean. And this is a problem that I really want to fight against, because marine life is going to be not impossible by 2050. Next slide, please. So in 2015, as you can see in the top corner, I started making my first prototype, and it was just a $20 prototype that I got. I got the money from my mother, so I made a cube that you could melt plastics and actually make bricks from the plastics. But there was a big challenge with that because, as when I was using paraffin for heating the plastics, and when you heat plastics, they produce like toxic fumes. So that was a big problem. But because I didn't have enough money to like finance it, I just had to start it at that lower rank. And so after doing the first prototype, I presented it in the science fair and I won $100. So I was able to improve the prototype. As you can see in the picture below there, there's an improved prototype that has a green blower on top. So the work of the blower was to convert the toxic gases into neutral gases. So I was able to provide a solution for the gases that were produced during the melting process. Then after making the second prototype, that was in 2016. In 2017, I came to the African Leadership Academy and participated in the Anzisha Prize. Then, luckily enough, I became the first runner-up and got $15,000, where I was able to create the third prototype you can see there, which is an electric machine that recycles plastic waste into to building blocks. So the electric machine that I created had a temperature regulator, so we do not have to heat plastics to a point that where they have to produce fumes. So with the third prototype, I was able to eliminate the production of fumes at all. Next slide, please. So the process begins from landfills and in the streets. So we have more than 116 people who works in plastic collection, and they sell us those plastics in kgs. So we buy the plastics from people. Then we transport the plastics into our production center where we convert the plastics using plastics and sand. Then we make construction materials. So the paving blocks that you can see in the right part of the slide, those are actually made from sand and plastic waste. So from plastic bottles and bags to the product that you can see there. Next slide, please. Yeah, so as part of the work that we have been doing and as making effort in sharing the knowledge and experience that I had through waste recycling, so I've been able to receive different awards, as you can see there, and also spoke in some other conferences in order to make people more aware, especially to motivate youth who are willing to start initiatives that are environmentally based. Next slide, please. So in the picture there, that's me after receiving our first industrial made machine. So I did the designs, and they were improved in Sweden and made in the UK. Then later we transported the machines to Tanzania, and that's the full production phase that we have right now. So the machines you can see there, they're full-time machines working on recycling of plastic waste into paving blocks and other building materials. Next slide, please. So throughout the development of green ventures, we have had different organizations that have been able to support us, and this includes the African Leadership Academy, the Blue Water Group, One Young World Children Climate Prize, the Anzisha Prize, and Split Visions. So through these organizations, they have been able to provide us with training and also funding to improve our processes.
Thank you so much, Edgar. That was so informative.